Hi, I'm Laura,
And I'm Joe.
and this is Crime Divers.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode.
Hello. So, Joe, where in the world are we today?
We are in England in the UK,
Awesome. And do we have a title?
obviously.
Do we have a good title? I'll rephrase that. Do we have a good title?
Well, it doesn't matter.
No, I guess not.
No, it's this one gives it away. It is Killer X.
Well, that definitely gives it away.
Yeah,
Wow, okay. So, shall we dive in?
let's dive in.
Let's dive in.
So, first of all, have you heard of an app called Hollyguard? Holly, as in the girl's name, Holly, Hollie.
No, can't
No.
say I have.
Well, there's an app called Hollyguard,
What
and
is
this
that?
case is the reason that it exists.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you about Holly Gazzard. She was a 20-year-old hairdresser who was murdered in 2014. But I just wanted to tell you a bit about the app first. So the app it's basically for women or men, I suppose, you know, when they're maybe walking outside alone in the dark, you know, maybe in a at-risk situation.
Oh, okay.
So this is for that reason, for, you know, if you're about to walk home in the dark, then activate your app, basically.
Yeah.
So it's a smartphone app that provides enhanced levels of protection. So you can set extra levels of protection from right inside the app. It has a 24/7 monitoring service which provides direct access to a dedicated emergency response team
Oh, wow.
who are fully equipped to assess your situation, and they're trained in appropriate escalation procedures. So once you've registered and sign in, you can enter your emergency contacts, and that they will actually receive an SMS notification to highlight that you're in danger.
Alright, okay. So what, if you were just like out walking alone at night, you could just set this up and then...
Yeah, well, you set it up before you leave,
Yeah.
and then if you end up in danger, you can. Well, as I'm going to tell you how to use it,
was gonna
but
say,
yeah, it can alert.
Alright, so it's not so it's not a case of like you use, so when you go out you obviously go into the app and basically notify the app or something that you're actually out, but then only if you feel you're in danger, I think you would go in and do something else, and then it would
Yeah.
send
Which
out.
I- yeah,
right.
which
I
I
get
would
it
say.
now. I'm understanding now.
Right, okay. So there's a user guide for you to activate each type of alert and make sure that you set up before walking alone or any other situation that you might feel you might be at risk. So if you have to use the app, you just simply shake your phone.
Alright, okay.
So obviously once you're in it, like you're like normally if you haven't got the app activated and
Yeah.
you shake your phone, it's not going to do it.
No.
Like you have to have the app
Yeah.
activated.
Uh-huh.
So and if you choose, an alarm will begin sounding, which can include flashing lights to ward off a perpetrator.
Alright, okay.
So it will also send an alert to your emergency contact with the exact location of where the alert has been placed. In addition, audio and video of the incident begins immediately recording,
Oh, wow.
which is stored in the cloud location. So even if the phone is stolen or disarmed, evidence is still being collected.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I thought it sounded really, as you just said, it sounded amazing. So I was like, I'm going to download that.
Yeah.
And so I set up an account. It was really easy to set it up. It literally took a minute to set it up. And there's a free plan. Like there's different plans, but the free one for me anyway, is enough. So the free plan offers add trusted contacts, raise an alert, track a journey, monitor a meeting, record evidence, audio and video, automatic accident alerts. And there are 2 paid plans, but I couldn't see the benefit for that because obviously I didn't
You'd have
go
to go
into
in and
it.
pay, yeah.
But I'm sure it's worth it. You know, if you're out by yourself, I mean, like for me, I'm not out very often by myself at night time.
But
or
if you're somebody
whatever.
that maybe does go out a lot by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. It might be worth it to get maybe one of the paid plans. But for me, the free one would be enough. So I actually have downloaded it and I'm going to use it because it's. Imagine that. You know, you can just.
I know, I mean, that recent girl that was murdered, is it Sarah Everard her name was?
Yeah.
You know, when she was out walking alone, imagine if obviously, if she'd had that and had used that, then
yeah, it could have helped.
Yeah, or anybody else that's been in that situation, you know. I actually wonder if it has helped anybody in that situation.
Yeah, I would hope so. But I mean, it does sound really good. So if anybody wants to download that, it's Hollyguard. So HOLLIEGUARD, Hollyguard. And it definitely, as I said, I had a play around with it, and it does look really good and can be really handy.
I might have to download that one myself.
Yeah. So, we'll get on with the case now. So, as I said before, Holly was 20. She was determined and successful. She was vibrant, fun, vivacious, talented, and beautiful, according to the website, which was set up after her death. And I'll tell you about that later, because there is a website. So, when Holly was younger, she loved sports, and she took part in football, athletics, gymnastics, jiu-jitsu, and horse riding.
Very active, then.
I know, eh? That sounds like way too much effort for me. She was a Manchester United fan, and she would go to Old Trafford to watch them play. She loved fashion and beauty, and she really had a passion for hairdressing. And if you actually look online at photos of Holly, every photo she's got a different hairstyle.
Oh, right,
she's got a different colour, different hairstyle. It's like she obviously played around a lot with her hair, but apparently she was like really good at it. She was really good at her job, and as I said, she had a passion for it. But before becoming a hairdresser, Holly worked as a general assistant at Camping de Court Valley, which was a holiday site in France. When she came back to the UK, she started an apprenticeship in a hairdresser's, and while there she attended a training academy when she did MVQ levels 2 and 3, and she won the first year Learner Silver Award. So she obviously, as I said, she was good.
Yeah, she was getting on well, and like the sounds of it.
So in November 2012, Holly gained a place at a training academy in London, where she spent 5 weeks training before being given a job on a cruise ship, which was a 9-month tour of the Caribbean. So that job didn't start for a few months yet, so she went back to Gloucester, which I actually didn't say that's where she lived, did I? No, she lived in Gloucester, that's where she was from.
Okay.
So she went back to Gloucester and got a part-time job in a pub until it was time to go on the cruise ship. And it was here that she met 21-year-old Asher Maslin. He was a regular at the bar. So he grew up in nearby Cheltenham and worked on and off as a security guard. As soon as she started working at the pub, he was asking for her number and wanting to take her out, and after a while she was like, right, okay, they went out on a date. When she told one of her friends about him, she was excited, but she did also mention that he was coming on pretty strong.
No, it's just too much too soon.
Yeah, but she didn't let that, I mean, she still went on and started a relationship with him, so she mustn't have been too bothered about it. So they started a relationship, and there was a real spark between them, and they were together for a couple of months before she set sail on the cruise ship. But she'd only been away for a week when she began regretting her decision, and she called her dad and asked if he could arrange a flight home for her.
Oh, right.
He asked her why, and she said she was homesick. And her dad said that she had her mind made up. There was no talking her out of it, so he arranged for her to come home.
Kind of thinking maybe she should have stayed on the cruise ship.
I think she should have. So her family and friends suspected that Asher was the real reason that she came home. They believed that he bombarded her with phone calls, texts, FaceTimes, and that he really got to her and made her feel uncomfortable about being away from home, and persuaded her to come back.
Right.
But once she was reunited with Asher, things were different. He was possessive, and he didn't want to let Holly go again. So there was one night she went out with two of her friends in Gloucester, and Asher appeared at the nightclub and wanted Holly to go home. He didn't want her to be out and drinking and having fun, and he wanted her to be at home and like just be in control of everything. So Asher insisted that Holly left with him, and he wouldn't take no for an answer. So that was her night. Her night out was ruined.
Yeah, I was going to say totally ruined.
Yeah. So Holly lived with her parents, and her dad noticed a change in her when she came home from after being with Asher. She would become moody and sort of a little bit aggressive, but then after about an hour of being with them, with her family, she'd be back to her normal self. So they could obviously see that things weren't right in the relationship. So she'd only been back from the cruise for a few weeks when she decided she wanted to move to London. She got a job as a hairstylist at a salon in Edgware, and her and Asher went to live with his cousin in London.
Okay.
So Holly's family visited her there, and things seemed to be okay, But then on one occasion they were going to take her out for lunch and they asked where Asha was, and she said like he wasn't feeling very well. But when they were walking to the restaurant, Asha called Holly and her family could hear him saying on the phone, "Don't let them take you away from me."
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah. And personally, I think that would be a horrible thing for a parent to hear that, because that's not what you expect to hear if your kid is in a happy, secure relationship.
No. Exactly. Your partner would be more than happy for you to go and spend time with your family and stuff. Especially if you've moved away from home and they've obviously come to visit. Of course you're going to naturally spend some time with them, aren't you? Yeah,
so to hear, "Oh, don't let them take you away from me," that's
just trying to mess with her head.
That's just as a parent, that's a horrible. That would be a horrible thing to hear. Because,
I hate that, because I'm like, well, I'm happy for you to go and have your relationship, but I want some time to spend with you as well, and that should be a natural thing. If you're a close family and you get on well, you do want to spend time with your family. So any partner that doesn't want you to do that is, to me, is not somebody you should probably be with.
Well, I would take that as a kind of, I'd be a bit offended as well. But like, who do you think I am? Why do you think I would be taking her away? She's an adult.
Yeah.
All I'm doing is coming and taking her out for lunch.
Well, exactly. She's moved away from home. I miss her. I want to spend time with my daughter.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So Asha was controlling and possessive. Surprise, surprise. As if you hadn't realised that already.
Yeah.
And he was happy that him and Holly were in London, because basically he was just isolating her
I was gonna say,
from her family and friends.
Uh-huh.
In May 2013, Holly and Asha went back to Gloucester to celebrate Holly's mum's birthday, and they all went out to a restaurant, and obviously Holly was excited to be back home.
Mm-hmm.
But Asha was drunk, and when he had alcohol he would start to let his guard down. He would, because he'd obviously with her family, he'd be probably polite and charming,
but not so much when he was drunk.
But yeah, he would let his guard down when he'd had a few drinks. Holly's dad said that he was normally he was friendly and charming, but on this occasion, Asha was abusive to other diners, and he was also to Holly as well.
Mm-hmm.
Holly's dad said that Asha humiliated Holly in front of everyone else. He spoke to her like a piece of dirt.
Mm-hmm.
He was demanding. He was clicking his fingers. Like, somebody clicked their fingers at me.
That would infuriate me.
That would be really infuriating. Somebody clicking their fingers is that is so disrespectful.
Oh, totally.
And he was saying things about her, and the way that he treated her was like a little child, and he had no respect for her whatsoever, as you kind of realise that already.
Mm-hmm.
So Asha went outside at one point, I don't know, probably went out for a cigarette or something, and Holly's family took the opportunity to speak to her, so they asked if she was alright. She said, yeah, she sort of made excuses for Asha, saying it's fine and it's just because he's had a few drinks. So her family said, well, if you need us, just let us know.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I'm fine, everyone's okay. So, what else could they do?
I was going to say, unless they didn't pull him up about it and say that's enough.
Well, he was drunk, so that probably wouldn't be a good idea.
No, probably not talking to him.
Yeah, a lot of parents wouldn't do that because they don't want to interfere.
Yeah, that's true.
So the next day she went back to London with Asha. So in August that year, Holly and Asha went to the Notting Hill Carnival with his family and friends. So I looked that up because I didn't know what it was. Well, I knew it was a carnival, but I was like, was that a big thing? I don't know.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's actually would be on this weekend just past.
Oh, right.
But I don't think it was on this year because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an annual Caribbean carnival event that's taken place in London since 1996, every August bank holiday. Mm-hmm. It's on for 2 days, and it's led by members of the British West Indian community, and it attracts around 2.5 million people each year, making it one of the world's largest street festivals and a significant event in Black British culture. Mm-hmm. That's huge.
That is huge.
2.5 million. Mm-hmm. So I want to tell you that, just so that when I say Holly and Asha got separated in the crowds, you can understand just how easily that can be done in such a massive festival. Mm-hmm. So, as I said, they got separated, so Asha started calling Holly's phone, but couldn't get through. He was furious that he didn't know where she was, and he eventually found her, and he pushed her to the ground in temper. But it's like, I don't know if he just pushed her or if he actually punched her, but whatever the case, she landed on the ground. Uh-huh. And the thing is, the reason that they'd got separated was because all she'd done was taken one of his nephews to the toilet.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't know that yet because he didn't bother to ask her where she had been. He just obviously lost his temper. And he was demanding she tell him where she had been and who she'd been with. And she'd only been gone 5 minutes.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Taking his nephew, who obviously must have been a little boy, to be taking him to the toilet. But yeah, he didn't stop to ask where she'd been. It was just... Well, because, you think, oh, where have you been? I was looking for you.
I know, I couldn't find you.
I was worried.
Yeah.
But no.
No.
So Holly was devastated that someone that she loved could be violent towards her. And the following morning, she called her dad and asked him to come and pick her up if she wanted to go home to Gloucester. She wasn't willing to put up with violent behaviour from Asha and she moved back home. So she got a job in a new salon and she settled back into life at home. She was living with her parents and she was back to her normal self. She was happy, bubbly, loving her job, going out with friends. But then Asha moved back home as well.
No.
So he moved back in with his mum in Cheltenham. So that's I think it was, I looked it up. I never wrote it down, I don't know why. I think it was about 7 miles away from Gloucester.
Far,
so yeah, it's close. So since she'd moved out of the flat in London, Holly and Asha had still kept in touch. I don't know why. I don't know what.
He was texting her.
When I say I don't know why, I mean I don't know what the context of it was. I don't know if they were still romantically sort of in touch with each other. Or
she was just being polite because he was trying to...
Yeah, I don't know the context of it. So, but they kept in touch. So when he moved back, she was torn and found it difficult to leave him for good. She did go back to him on and off, but according to one of her friends, she just thinks she was just too scared to call it off properly. She would try and end it, but then he would go and buy her some nice jewellery, or he'd say, "Oh, I've booked a hotel," and whisk her off for a weekend away. And at one point, he said he'd put a deposit down on a flat.
All right.
So, it's just ways to get her to stay, basically.
Yeah. It's just manipulating her, really.
Yeah. He wouldn't give her any space and he was jealous of her spending time with anyone else, and he even turned up at the salon that she worked in.
Oh, no.
He would turn up at the end of the day, it would take them about sort of half an hour, 45 minutes just to clean everything up and cash up and whatnot. So he would hang around for about half an hour, waiting for Holly. Obviously, so she didn't even get the chance to go anywhere after work.
So people did that on purpose. So
of course,
in case one of our workmates asked her to go out for a few drinks or something to eat or something, and he's like, "Well, I'm here, so you're not going to do that."
That's awful, isn't it?
That is terrible. I don't mind. It's fine if you arranged for him to pick you up because you maybe want to go and do something, or I don't know if he drove or whatever, maybe picking you up. But to turn up unannounced and just be there all the time,
just hang about waiting,
I'd be like, "No, this is my work. You leave me alone. This is my sort of my space, my time."
But I'm assuming that she probably felt that she couldn't say that because it's an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
So Asha was so possessive, and he was constantly texting and calling Holly. She would even have to switch her phone off at night because it was that bad that it was just constant. So she wanted to get to sleep, she had to switch her phone off.
Yeah.
And Holly had always been a very independent person and sort of did what she wanted when she wanted, but Asha didn't like that. He liked to be in control, and he wouldn't let her see her friends as much as she liked, and she lost a lot of her independence. Her dad Nick said because she was that strong, she kept everything to herself. She wanted to protect her family, and he thinks that she was embarrassed as well. She was too embarrassed to let people know what was happening.
Yeah.
So Nick, her dad, he was really wary of Asha by this point and just wanted Holly to get rid of him. He thinks that he would follow her sometimes, and because people would see him hanging around near the family home and stuff, and
bit of a stalker, eh?
Yeah. And one night he even turned up at midnight and knocked on the door.
At midnight?
Yeah.
To her parents' house?
Yeah, I know. That's just so rude. And who would have the balls to... I would not have the balls to do that.
Oh no, I definitely would not turn up to somebody's, my partner's mum and dad's house at midnight. No. I mean, you just...
But obviously, the type of person that he is, he's just not bothered. He's
clearly not.
And he was drunk, and he asked if he could come in, and I don't know if they did let him in or what, but Holly's parents had said they didn't want him around the house anymore, and because that just wasn't on. Like, because
fair enough.
I mean, well, I would shit myself if somebody knocked on my door at midnight.
Well, exactly. I like anybody that comes to my house. Not that anybody does really come to my house at night, but like in the few occasions that I've had, I always get nervous if somebody knocks on my door at night time because I'm like, why is somebody at my door at this time of night?
Exactly. Once it gets past sort of maybe delivery times, you know, like sort of maybe 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Unless you're expecting somebody, if somebody knocks at your door, it's like, okay. Like,
but I've got these little. This twice now it's happened. There's these like little girls in my street, and there was must have been a good few months ago now, and we had a knock at the door, and there was these little like plastic eggs on the doorstep, and they had like sweeties inside it. And I was like, what? You know, like couldn't understand what this was, and I assumed it was just some kids, but then literally, was it last week? There was a knock at the door, and it was like back 8 at night or whatever. And Justin went and answered the door, and I heard him say, "Oh, all right, thanks," and then obviously closed the door, and he came in with this bit of paper that just said hi. And these two girls had literally knocked on the door and just said that they wanted to give him this bit of paper that said hi, and I was like, who does that?
How old are they?
Well, he reckoned they were maybe like 10 or something like that, so I mean they're not old. But I'm like, I don't understand what they were getting out of that. I wonder if the parents, you know that they would do that, because surely they wouldn't be happy with that, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I know, like, yeah, I mean, but then at 10 years old, like, they probably don't tell their parents everything that they're doing, but like, they really shouldn't be knocking on people's doors.
Not even just for the house, because they could knock on the wrong person's door.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They shouldn't be doing that.
They somebody could take advantage of them. So, because obviously we don't know who they are. I mean, I don't even know. You know, I've never actually seen them because I've never seen the two girls. It's just Justin. But I mean, I don't know which house they've come from. I don't know who they are because, you know, we're still fairly new to the streets. So I only really know the two girls that live next door to me. But that certainly wasn't them.
Well, you should tell Justin if they come to the door again. He should say to them, you know, stop.
I think he was just shocked. He was just like, oh, right, okay, just not really expecting that, and then was like, oh, right. But yeah, it was just a very bit random. So
yeah, I just think to myself, like, I mean, I just think surely their parents don't know that they're doing that. They maybe just think that they're out playing in the street, and as you said, they could knock on the wrong person's door. So I think if they do knock again, whoever answers the door should say to them, look, you know, I don't think you should be doing that.
But
well, yeah, hopefully they don't.
But yeah, if they did, then yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's that's so random.
I know, it is very random.
Yeah, that's so weird. So yeah, kids, don't go knocking on random people's doors.
Don't knock on strangers' doors because you just don't know who's going to answer.
Exactly. So anyway,
back to the case.
Yeah. So by the time Holly and Asher had been together for 10 months, it was obviously taking its toll on Holly. She was withdrawn and quiet, and she told her dad it was too much for her.
So this had all happened in 10 months. That's it.
Yeah. I know it seems.
It just seems like a longer period.
It seems they've been together for a long time, doesn't it? But yeah, 10 months. I mean, you know, in the first 10 months, you should be happy and still in the honeymoon period.
Totally.
And
I know, like, not that it should ever, develop into that situation at any point in your relationship, but I mean, certainly not in the first 2 months. You're meant to be like really happy and enjoying each other's company and, going on dates and all that sort of thing.
So it must have been hard for her. She said to her dad that she didn't want the relationship anymore, so he said, well, end it, and she said she was gonna, so, her dad had said, right, well, if you need me to get involved, I'll help you. I was, what a good dad.
I know, because to me it sounds like he didn't want to like overstep the mark and be like the overprotective parent dad and let her sort of make her own decisions, but clearly he was just offering his support so that if she needed a bit of reassurance, a bit of help, that he was there to help her.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It like what he's been like through the whole relationship. As you said, did they not pull him up? I think he didn't want to get too involved, but he just wanted to let Holly know that he was there if she needed him. Yeah. Which is fine. Which is good, dad.
Absolutely.
So Holly had made her mind up, and over the next couple of months she kept trying to end the relationship, but Asher just wasn't having it. Surprise, surprise. By February 2014, she'd had enough. She was done. She decided to take him out to a public place so that she wasn't on her own, and tell him that was it. She didn't want anything to do with him. For some reason, I don't know why, I found it a bit strange that she picked Valentine's Day.
Of all the days.
Yeah, so they actually went out for a meal.
On Valentine's Day.
So everybody around them is, having romantic meals and she's dumping them. So I found that...
Yeah.
There didn't seem to be any explanation for it. But
right, okay.
So, yeah, so they met in a local restaurant and she told them she'd had enough, she wasn't doing it anymore. And not surprisingly, Asher didn't take the news very well. He was furious, he shouted at her and told her that she had a cold heart. And he threw a drink in her face.
Well, and you really think she's going to want to stay with you after you do that to her?
I know.
After everything else that you've done, and then you do that? I mean, is it any wonder that she's trying to dump you?
He's obviously got a temper on him. Mm-hmm. So she got up and she went out to her car, and he followed her. So when she opened the door, he jumped in, stole her bank card, which was it was in her wallet, which was on the floor, and then he went to the cash machine and stole money out of her account.
Okay.
Random, eh? Like, when I was researching that, I was just like, that is so weird. Like, what a weird thing to do.
Oh, yeah, it's very random, isn't it?
Your girlfriend's just dumped you, and the first thing you think of is to shout at her, tell her she's got a cold heart, throw a drink in her face, then go and steal money.
Yeah, I know,
it doesn't seem to add up, does it?
Is he just trying to hurt her or something? I mean,
So, after he stole the money, he sent Holly a text which said, this poxy £300, 300 quid he stole. This poxy £300 means nothing to me. So
what? Why take it then?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't understand what the...
Maybe it was also just a heat of the moment sort of...
no idea. But that's what he did anyway. But then he started sending her threatening texts, like, I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to smash your house up and,
I mean, that's not really a way that you're ever going to win the girl back. Not that...
That's just his temper coming out again, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So he was also threatening Holly's family. So her dad, Nick, said, right, it's time to involve the police. Mm-hmm. So she told the police what had been going on, and that was the first time that her family had actually heard the brutal truth of, exactly what she'd been through. Because they obviously...
Yeah, they didn't know everything.
They didn't know exactly. They obviously knew that he was a bit of a prick, but...
Yeah.
I haven't said that word for years. but obviously, as I said, she never told them exactly what was going on.
I don't think you probably, when you go in a relationship, you don't tell your loved ones the ins and outs of every sort of single thing. I mean, it's, it isn't, I don't think it's the done thing, so it's no surprise that she probably didn't tell them a lot of what was going on.
No, well, he'd said earlier, that she wanted to protect her family, and she kept a lot of stuff to herself. So so the police set out to arrest Asher for harassing Holly, and of course he must find out that they were out to arrest him. So he was furious, of course.
Of course.
And he continued to threaten her. So he texted her and said, "It's Asher, give me a call now, or this bat is going to hit your dad's head.
Lovely.
I don't want to get fucking violent, as I'll take it too far." The police went to his mum's and his nan's house, but he wasn't there. They also went to a couple of previous addresses, but they couldn't find him. So obviously Holly and her family and friends, they were terrified that he would carry out these threats, but nobody knew where he was.
No.
So on the 18th of February 2014, Asher was caught on CCTV in Gloucester Town Centre. In one shop he appeared agitated and he argued with the staff. And then in another shop he was caught on camera buying a 12-inch kitchen knife.
Oh, God.
So Holly was at work, and it had been agreed with her boss, Shan, that if Asher did ever turn up at the salon, Shan wouldn't say anything but would just immediately go out the back and phone the police.
Right.
So Asher was caught on CCTV walking towards the salon, and he was carrying the knife in a bag.
Oh, God.
So at about 6:30 p.m, Shan was cutting a gentleman's hair, and Asher walked into the salon. Shan said hello to him, and then she walked towards the back of the salon, obviously, to phone the police. So Holly passed her, so Holly was coming towards the front of the shop, and so Shan sort of showed her that she had the phone in her hand, so that Holly knew that she was going to be phoning the police. Yeah. So Shan phoned them from a back room, and she could hear quite a bit of commotion coming from the salon, so she looked out of the door of the back room, and there was people coming running towards her, and one of the clients said, "There's a knife."
Oh, fuck.
So basically, Asher had attacked
Holly.
So the attack lasted less than 2 minutes, but Asher had brutally stabbed Holly 14 times.
Oh, God.
He ran off, he dumped the knife and changed his clothes and got in a taxi. Holly was taken to hospital, but she was pronounced dead 2 hours later at just 20 years old.
That's horrible.
I know. And just minutes before the attack, Asha had actually texted Holly's sister Chloe and said, "I warned you all." So he knew what he was doing. Yeah. Well, obviously he had a plan because he went and bought
it's just a
knife
shame
and everything.
That if they when the two women crossed each other in the salon, that she hadn't just sort of went back to the back room with her and just went out to say. I mean, I don't know if they had like a door or something that they could have.
She wouldn't have known that. She was just wanted to go and. Well, her ex-boyfriend that came in, there's clients in the salon. She's not going to want to make a scene, so she would obviously went to see what he wanted.
Yeah.
She would never know that he was getting...
Oh no, I mean, I know she would never know that, but just because of all the threats and stuff like that, I thought, maybe she would have been a bit wary about it, but obviously she just wanted to sort of keep him calm or something, and so that, her colleague could go and phone the police, and then it would be, they'd come and get her.
Yeah, that's what the thing was, it was like, keep him calm, and I'll phone the police.
Yeah.
So the police went to the Gazzards' home to tell them what had happened, and told them that they would have to go with them for their own safety as Asha was on the run. So they were actually taken to a safe house under armed guard.
Oh wow.
So 8 hours after Asha killed Holly, the police found him and arrested him at a friend's house. So it turned out, in the 6 years before Holly's death, Asha had been arrested 23 times for a variety of offences, including domestic violence, criminal damage, possession of Class A drugs and theft. He was also involved in 24 violent incidents, 3 of them involving Holly, 12 involving one former partner, 2 involving another ex, 3 involving his mother, and 4 against other unconnected people, but yet nobody knew about it. Like Holly, her family, none of them knew that he had
anything like that.
Wow. So on the 16th of July 2014, Asha Maslin, who was 22, appeared at Gloucester Crown Court.
Only 22 and he's got all that?
Mm-hmm.
Bloody hell.
I know, that's a lot, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
He showed no remorse and he was disrespectful to the judge. He pled guilty to the murder of Holly Gazzard and was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 24 years. And when he was taken away, he actually looked at Holly's family and smirked.
Ugh.
But then he looked at his own family and said sorry.
I mean, yes, obviously you put your own family through hell, but that poor girl's family, you should be saying sorry to them as well. Mm-hmm. Not that would ever make up for what you've done, but...
Yeah, but why would you smirk? That's but Asha's mum, Sam, she had actually begged the police to arrest her son the day before he killed Holly.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. She knew that he'd been threatening Holly, and Sam said that his mental health was deteriorating and she felt that he was unsafe. And she said, quote, "I begged him to arrest him because I didn't want him going round and causing trouble for Holly and her family, but it just didn't happen. I was worried he was going to lose his temper, but I never in a million years thought he would do what he did," end quote. But I can see from the police's point of view, what was there to arrest him for?
At that point, yeah.
Yeah.
I know, because, you
But they were out to arrest him, though.
Yeah, they were, weren't they?
Yeah, but they couldn't find him at that point, so...
Yeah.
Anyway, so he was allowed to appeal against the length of his sentence, but his mum said his mum said that was an insult to Holly.
Totally.
Yeah, she said, quote, "He's my son and I love him, but I don't like him. But I still want him to do the right thing. He did an unforgivable thing and he has to pay the price for that," end quote. So, good. I thought that was good because a lot of people do, even if their kids are murderers, they still sort of stick by them and defend them.
Yeah.
So I thought that that's good that she's saying, yeah, he's my son, but
because that's
it's not on.
You're right. It is her son at the end of the day, and of course, she's still going to love her son, but she doesn't have to obviously like what he did because what he did was horrific. So, good on her for saying that.
Yeah. So there was an investigation into how the police handled the case, but based on the evidence gathered in the investigation, they didn't recommend misconduct action, although they did identify areas of learning for individuals and the force, whatever that means. So Holly's family wanted something positive to come from their tragic loss, and they created the Holly Gazzard Trust. So Holly's dad Nick, he'd said, "We didn't want other young people to go through what Holly went through, and certainly for parents, they didn't want parents to go through what we go through on a daily basis." So set up by Holly's parents, Nick and Mandy, and her sister Chloe, the charity helps reduce domestic violence through creating and delivering programmes on domestic abuse and promoting healthy relationships to schools and colleges. In addition, it funds hairdressing training for young people who may not otherwise have the funds to study. So the ultimate aim of the Trust is to positively change the lives of young people through partnerships in communities, as well as working alongside other charities and professional agencies. They help educate young people about the importance of healthy relationships and to identify signs of potential abuse. They raise awareness of stalking, and the Trust has funded several initiatives delivering workshops in schools and other youth-related organisations to tackle knife crime and antisocial behaviour. They do an annual walk for Holly to remember her, and just over a year after Holly died, Nick fulfilled one of Holly's lifelong dreams when he took part in a skydive. I thought that was nice because that was one of her dreams and he did it for her. Mm-hmm. So the website is definitely worth a look, and you can even get involved by like fundraising or making a donation. So that's www.hollygazard.org, and I'll stick that in the show notes. And remember, everybody, check out the Hollyguard app as well, because it's well worth having. I think it's because you never know what's going to happen.
We know these things are still happening. To women. I mean, I'm sure maybe men as well, but there's it certainly is still happening out in the world there. So
it's scary walking outside by yourself at night.
I wouldn't want to really. I mean, I'm lucky that I drive, so I don't really have to walk anywhere very often on my own, but I do like to go for walks as well, so it would be nice to...
Well, I mean, not even at night time. Well, during the day, any time that you're by yourself, if you're maybe, as you said, you could just be going for a walk somewhere, and
that's it.
You never know where somebody might jump out and attack you, so yeah, I think it's really handy to have, and that's sort of the reason why I did this case, was because I wanted to raise awareness, for that app, for people to download that app, because as many people as possible to have, or something like that. Like I'm sure there's other apps out there.
But I'm sure there is.
But yeah, I just thought that would be a really good one to have. So thank you for listening, everybody.
That was a good one today. Thank you.
And a good one.
I don't. You know what I mean? I don't mean a good one. I mean like an interesting one.
I know what you mean. So if you would like to follow us on social media, we will put the information in the show notes. If you would like to join our Patreon, go to patreon.com/crimedivers, and there's different tiers there. We get bonus episodes and other stuff. Go and have a look. And the tiers start at £1 a month. If you'd like to buy us a coffee, that's just basically a one-off payment. So if you don't want to pay something monthly, you can just nip on there and buy us a coffee. Which would be lovely.
Yeah, we like a coffee. Well, not actually, we like a tea.
We like a tea. Yeah, we'll buy tea with it instead. But no, yeah, I mean, what we would like to, get ourselves some better equipment and whatnot. So anything would be greatly appreciated.
And of course, if you do like listening to us and you want to get our episodes as soon as they come out, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, review. Thanks for listening.
Bye.